The house always wins in Vegas, and this time the Golden Knights dealt the Rangers a bad hand. Hey everybody, I'm Todd Werwa, your host for Rangers Daily, right here on YouTube. Please subscribe, leave a thumbs up, ring the bell so you know when we post each new episode, and please leave your comments, your questions, thoughts, whatever you want to talk about. I love the two-way discussion. Yeah, things didn't go great on the Vegas Strip for the Rangers on Tuesday night. A 3-2 loss to the Vegas Golden Knights. The road winning streak comes to an end at 6 games. It wasn't a bad 5-on-5 game. They only got 19 shots, but we'll talk about how special teams was the difference in a minute. But they only got 5 shots in the first period, 6 in the second. They were getting outshot 11-3 in the third with 4:58 left. Now the game was close. It wouldn't say it was dominated by Vegas, but Panarin took a bad penalty that led to the first goal. He sort of spun with his stick and kicked out players' legs, players' feet in open ice, and he could have turned the other way. There wouldn't have been a penalty. It just 5-on-5, it was just a low event game with nobody having any momentum, and he takes a bad penalty in the neutral zone, and that changes the momentum of the whole thing. The Rangers did a good job of keeping the best goal scorers for Vegas off the board. The goal scorers were Braden Bowman, Ben Hutton, and Shea Theodore. No, Eichel had no points. Marner had a secondary assist. Thomas Hertl had 2 assists, but one of them was a deflection that you almost didn't even realize he deflected in front of the net. The Rangers did finally get a 5-on-5 goal when Johnny Brodzinski made it 2-1. A fantastic play by Carson Soucy, hounding Ivan Barbashev, just corralling him, not taking a penalty, but using his stick and using his body as he turned up around the point. Eventually, he coughs up the puck. Will Cooley's there. He goes down with Brodzinski. Cooley shoots, and it goes off of Kira Schmid's pad. Brodzinski is there to tap it in. But that was sort of a theme of especially the beginning of the game. At least Cooley shot the puck there so many times during the first period and through the game, but it was really noticeable in the first period. The Rangers just sort of turned away from shots or tried to make an extra pass and just never put pressure on the net, never kept throwing pucks to the net to force Schmid to make a save, to back the defense up. They just were very passive in that regard. That goal by Brodzinski was the 10th 2-on-1 goal the Rangers have scored this season. That leads the NHL. So again, they got the 5-on-5 goal, but it was a rush goal off a 2-on-1. So they're still not getting cycle goals, long offensive zone time kind of goals. There was an unbelievable sequence at 2-1 that sort of emblematic of how the game went. Shesterkin was down, out of position, on his belly, then on his back, and somehow he makes a save with his leg off of Eichel that, I mean, he was swimming. He was rolling, he was swimming, and somehow he blindly got there and made the save. Then a little bit later, Eichel hit the post. Then with the Rangers shorthanded, Trocheck got robbed by Schmidt on a 2-on-1. Would have tied the game at 2-2. Would have been a shorthanded goal, obviously, which changes a little of the power play momentum. Golden Knights come back up, and eventually on that power play, Shea Theodore beats Shesterkin from up top with presence. Shesterkin thought he might have gotten bumped, but it was out of the crease. Makes it 3-1, and that was sort of the end. The Rangers thought they made it 3-2. Thought Brodzinski had a second goal, but it was called back for Mika Zibanejad offside. JT Miller coming into zone, made a little move, caused Mika to be over the line. No question about it. It was a super quick review. Rangers did get a second goal late with the empty net. Goalie pulled. Make it 3-2, but Mika Zibanejad had one late chance to possibly tie it with a shot just off of Schmidt's right side, but Schmidt made the save, and they wind up losing 3-2. JT Miller started his press conference by saying special teams were the difference, and he was absolutely right, as did Mike Sullivan. They talked about net front presence and special teams, and they obviously didn't win the battle on either. The Rangers were 0 for 1 on their own power play with one shot, and they were 0 for 2 on the penalty kill. Like I said, they almost had that shorthanded goal that would have made it 2-2, but they didn't. They gave up 2 goals on the power play. They've been giving up a lot of power play goals. In fact, they've allowed 10 in their last 10 games. Only Vancouver has allowed more in that span. They're too passive. They're soft. They were sort of sitting back a little bit, letting. I mean, the Vegas power play looked like world beaters. They were just moving the puck, getting shots. They had their way with the Rangers penalty kill. Mike Sullivan said they have to pressure more. There's a lot of hesitation there. And the penalty kill was so strong at the beginning of the year. And now, they've rotated players. They do a very good job of changing a lot and having a bunch of guys on the penalty kill, but you've got to be out there and you got to want it. You got to give everything you have, block shots, dive, all that kind of stuff. And they just haven't been doing that lately, and they certainly didn't do it in the game. As for the power play, they're not getting a net front presence. They're not clearing people out of the net. On the penalty kill, both power play goals, Vegas had someone in front, and Mike Sullivan said they talked about the net front battle before the game, that it was something they needed to win on both ends, and they didn't, they couldn't, and it cost them in the 2 power play goals. They go on to lose. They need their penalty kill being good, especially because their power play has been scoring. They didn't score this game, but they had goals in each of the last 4 games. That's those special teams, because they struggle so much at 5-on-5. They need power play goals, and they need that PK to be great. And tonight, no dice. Just didn't happen. JT Miller was pretty critical of himself after the game. He hasn't put up many points. He's only got 10. He wound up getting a second assist on the 3-2 goal with the empty net, but it wasn't really much of anything that he did. Go and search the video of Ben Hutton's goal if you haven't seen it already. Gavrikov, Fox, and Miller are down low behind the goal line. They lose a battle on the boards. Then the puck slides out, and Miller comes back up. Zibanejad can't get the puck out. Miller just loses the puck with no effort, and then gives no effort to chase the puck. He just stands straight-legged and glides as the Golden Knights take the puck, make the pass over to Hutton for the goal. It's just a clip of a lack of effort, a lack of engagement. I don't know how long he was in the shift, but it's still no excuse to not move. It was just like he messed up 2 plays and kind of quit. Steve Valiquette on the broadcast said something that there are 3 reasons when guys struggle. You're either lazy, you're out of shape, or you're hurt. And I think he was insinuating that Miller's hurt, which I think everybody thinks he still is and hasn't healed from the injury he suffered in training camp. He looks slow. He looks slow in reaction as well, and getting shots off and moving puck. Like, it's not just his skating speed, it's his reaction, trying to get shots. Everything just looks delayed, just doesn't look, bang, bang, bang. It all looks slow. Let me read you a little bit of what JT Miller said. He said, "At some point you look in the mirror, speaking on behalf of myself, I certainly expect a hell of a lot more production than what I have." He went on to say, "This year it seems like nothing's really going into the net, so it's making me frustrated." He's obviously frustrated. He says, "I don't never look at points. I know when I do what I do and play the right way, points will come, but points haven't come this year." I don't know if you sit him. I don't know if you break up the lines and move, and separate JT and Mika. Now that Trocheck's back, they really don't have anybody who's a third winger on that line for them. They started Cooley up on the first line. Then they moved Brodzinski up there early in I believe in the second period. There's nobody to go along with those two, and there's only so much Mika can do. It almost needs a little, you almost either break it up or tell JT, you got to sit. But there's so many games, just, there's no time off. You have to tell him, you got to get some honesty from him. And listen, if you're hurt and it's impacting your play, get better. We'll see what happens. He's the captain. He'll stay in the lineup. He's honest and hard on himself, and he's gripping the stick tight and not naturally reacting. Maybe he's thinking too much, but we'll see. There's got to be some other option, or Chris Drury's got to make a trade and get somebody else in here who can possibly score, who can possibly ignite the offense with little speed, get the top two lines going. Because up next, the Rangers are in Denver to face the Colorado Avalanche. They're only the best team in the league right now. Number one team in the league. They're 13-1-5. They only have one regulation loss, 31 points, an .816 winning percentage. They already have 12 regulation wins and already a plus 31 goal differential. They're 7-0-2 at home. They've won 6 in a row. You remember on November 8th, they beat Edmonton 9-1. Yeah, it's that kind of team. So the Rangers need more shots on goal. They need more from Miller. They need to keep that defensive structure. They need some special teams to come through, both on the power play, but more importantly on the penalty kill. And we'll see what Denver holds on Thursday when they face Nathan MacKinnon and Cale Makar and the Colorado Avalanche. Disappointing night in Vegas. Some positives, but disappointing net front, disappointing in JT Miller's play, disappointing on the penalty kill. Overall, it's a lost night in Vegas. Appreciate you watching Rangers Daily. Again, I'm Todd Werwa. Please subscribe and leave your comments. And until tomorrow, thanks for watching.